Daniel, the head of the family, locked his daughter in the basement for 24 years and forced her to give birth to 3 children. Astonishingly, this film is based on true events. Daniel, a strong and controlling man, led his family with an iron grip, allowing no opposition. However, his youngest daughter Sarah defied him, sneaking out to a rave with her boyfriend Christopher in the dark of night. Sarah experienced a rare moment of happiness as she listened to Christopher's romantic guitar playing at the party. The next morning, when Daniel discovered Sarah's disobedience, he was furious. Sarah, rebellious and fed up with her father's tyranny, declared her intention to travel the world when she turned 18. Hearing this, Daniel decided to punish Sarah. Instead of talking it out, he came up with a mean plan. He pretended to need help moving some boxes, and as soon as Sarah put them down, he locked her in the basement. She begged him to let her out, but he didn't care. To make it worse, he showed her a suitcase with her clothes, making her believe he kicked her out of the house. It was just a cruel trick to mess with her head. Sarah tried talking to him through a small hole, but he covered it up, so no one could hear her cries for help. That's how her dad started a long, tough time for her, where she felt trapped and alone. Realizing something was wrong, she tried to communicate with Daniel through a small hole. Daniel blocked the hole with a cloth, silencing Sarah completely. Sarah's disappearance prompted her mother to contact friends and even involve the police, but there was no news. 4 days later, Daniel reappeared, pushing Sarah back into the basement as she attempted to escape. Unbeknownst to Sarah, there was a second door outside the basement. Daniel, angered by her escape attempt, dragged her back into the chamber. He warned Sarah not to enter the code incorrectly, as it would stop the electricity and ventilation fan in the basement after 3 failed attempts. This was Sarah's punishment for disobedience. Daniel declared that she had to trade her body for supplies, and when Sarah remained silent, he slapped her. The situation took a grim turn that no one wanted to witness. On the 7th day of Sarah's captivity, her boyfriend Christopher approached, only to be told by Daniel that Sarah had run off with another man. As days passed, Sarah's birthday arrived, marked by Daniel bringing her a cake, supplies, and a red dress, instructing her to show gratitude like a tame animal. Sarah offered to leave, but her request was bluntly rejected. In exchange, she endured another painful encounter. Time passed swiftly, and a year later, Sarah, now pregnant, went through the ordeal of giving birth without medical assistance. Despite the hardships, she found joy in her newborn daughter, Mary. Daniel, devoid of guilt, believed Sarah should be grateful for the opportunity to be a mother. In the darkness of the basement, Sarah faced more years of captivity and another pregnancy, while the family upstairs enjoyed dinner in the bright living room. The mother, desperate to find her daughter, suggests hiring a private detective, but Daniel, perhaps driven by guilt, reacts furiously. However, to alleviate the monotony in their lives, he brings a TV into the basement, providing a bit of fun for the family. Little Mary, Sarah's daughter, learns about the outside world through the television. Despite the passing years, Sarah's boyfriend continues to remember her. One day, he encounters Sarah's sister Lily and they discuss Sarah. Lily discovers Daniel's betrayal and informs her mother, sparking a furious argument with Daniel. In the midst of the confrontation, Daniel accidentally drops his keys on the sofa, seen by Lily. Seizing the opportunity, she takes the keys and heads to the basement. However, Daniel returns before she can explore further, scolding her to leave. Sarah, once again missing the chance for freedom, endures another 10 years of captivity, during which she has a second child. As the children grow older, the allure of the outside world depicted on television no longer satisfies their curiosity. Sarah, however, remains patient, leaving her work to play with her children. Another year passes, and Sarah gives birth to her third child. Sarah, realizing there was no room for a fourth child in the tiny basement, offered to raise the youngest child above ground. Daniel reluctantly agreed, and the child was quietly placed on the doorstep. However, the mother, seeing a letter from Sarah, assumed she was safe and didn't notice the letter underneath the baby. Daniel discovered it, leading to another round of cruel treatment for Sarah. Shortly after, Daniel lost his job, and in his frustration, he attempted to vent exhaust fumes into a secret room, intending to poison Sarah and her 3 children. Fortunately, his grandson intervened just in time, interrupting his dangerous actions. This marked the 18th year of Sarah's captivity, during which she was pregnant with another child, and her 2 older children were growing up, particularly Mary. Mary, targeted by Daniel due to her appearance, prompted a warning from Sarah. In retaliation, Daniel turned off the ventilation, making conditions in the basement even more unbearable. As heavy rain seeped through the cracks, Sarah saw an opportunity. Using a spoon, she dug an opening and used a torch to signal for help. A neighbor walking his dog witnessed her plea, but unfortunately, he informed Daniel about the incident. In response, Daniel resorted to physical violence, punching and kicking Sarah. Despite her pregnancy, Sarah experienced a heartbreaking miscarriage. The 2 other children, caught in the throes of rebellious adolescence, blamed Sarah's perceived weakness, leading to a heated confrontation. Lying on the floor, Sarah reminisced about her time with Christopher and finally revealed their origins. The angry son, seeking justice for his mother, confronted Daniel, but malnourished and weakened by years of captivity, he was overpowered and beaten by Daniel. It wasn't until 5 years later, during an asthma attack that Mary had, that a turning point occurred. Sarah, desperate, begged Daniel to take her daughter to a doctor, using the word daddy for the first time in over a decade. Strangely, this plea seemed to awaken some remaining conscience in Daniel's heart, and he agreed. Sarah carried her daughter out of the basement, her eyes filled with longing for the familiar room above. Deciding to seize the opportunity to escape, Sarah took her daughter to the hospital. Fortunately, the doctors successfully treated Mary, but when the nurse asked about Mary's past medical history, Daniel's suspicious answers raised concerns. The nurse, covertly seeking help, made an excuse to leave. Seizing this moment, Sarah spilled water on the case sheet, creating a diversion. As Daniel changed the forms, Mary quietly left and sought help from the police. Daniel, realizing the escape, pursued her, but it was too late. Justice prevailed, and Daniel was brought to account. The people in the basement were successfully rescued, finally experiencing light and freedom. Christopher, still in love with Sarah after all these years, reunited with her. In the days that followed, he fulfilled his promise, taking Sarah around the world. The film concludes with the stark reminder that life can be more frightening than a horror film, and reality is often harsher than a movie. This film is based on a true Austrian event, where the real victim was even younger than Sarah and endured even greater challenges, giving birth to more children.